How do you measure the strongest hero in Dota 2? Is it the one with the highest win rate? The one with the most picks and bans in pro games? The biggest one? Those all seem like reasonable metrics to me, but I'm here to introduce a new one. Who would win in a fight at level 1 with only auto attacks? Okay, so some context. I work on a custom game that uses Dota heroes. As part of the game, I need to sort every hero into a tier based on their stats. But because Dota is always changing, I have to update these tiers after every patch. Spreadsheets are helpful, but they don't tell me everything, such as who would actually win in a fight. So I decided to build a simulation. Every hero, level 1, no abilities or facets. I want you to take a moment here. Who do you think will come out on top? Do you think it's better to be strength or agility? And who's the worst? I'll give you a hint, it's not Crystal Maiden. Got your predictions? Good, let's get started. This is the simulation. I give every hero a rating, then pair them off. I then adjust their rating based on the results. In the next round, I use the updated ratings to seed a new round of fights. Pretty quickly, the heroes start to sort themselves. While this is running, let's talk implementation. You might be wondering why I'm not running more fights in parallel. Turns out, if I try to do much more than this, I run into the networkable entity limit, and the game crashes. Oh well. I also start the fights with the heroes spread out, to give ranged heroes a small advantage. Also, I said we'd be including innates, but there are some exceptions. For example, Sand King's Caustic Finale, if not disabled, will kill heroes in adjacent fights. Pudge, Silencer, Slark, Shadow Fiend, Centaur, and Lifestealer all gain stats over time. For most of these, I can just remove their innate, but for Slark and Lifestealer, I have to manually reset their stacks after each fight. For heroes like Kez and Troll that can change their stance, I left them in their starting stance. I also didn't do anything to help heroes like Slaughter or Nature's Prophet who get buffed from the terrain. I also had to figure out how to handle Wraith King. If he dies and his Wraith kills the enemy, is that still a loss? A win? I decided to count it as a draw. So, who came out on top? Well, let's start with some general trends. In the top 30 is a clean sweep for melee heroes, who benefit from the built-in damage block, as well as generally high base stats. As for which stat is best, it's pretty close. There are 19 strength heroes to 10 agility, but of those agility heroes, 6 are in the top 10. The highest rated int hero is also the highest rated ranged hero, Shadow Shaman, at 36, who benefits from having the 7th highest base damage. Highest rated universal hero is Brewmaster, barely making his way into the top 30 at 29. One hero a lot of people predicted to do well was Primal Beast, but he actually landed at only 21st. I guess 15 agility and 1.8 BAT just isn't going to cut it. Moving our way into the top 10, we have Bounty Hunter, Spirit Breaker, Bloodseeker, and Night Stalker. Bounty Hunter is carried by having the 2nd highest starting armor. The other 3 just have good stats. High strength, high damage, and enough armor. In 6th place we have our first relevant innate with Ember Spirit, who gets magic damage from Flame Guard, which gives him a small edge in matchups against heroes with high armor. In 5th is Juggernaut, who is maybe the hero who benefits the most from this format, given that his innate is always active. He also has the highest starting agility of any hero at 32. In 4th place is Treant Protector, who, despite having no relevant innate, does have by far the highest base damage of any hero at a whopping 89. He's beat out slightly in 3rd place by the hero with the 2nd highest base damage, Ogre Magi. What pushes Ogre above Treant here is his starting armor, which at 6.3 is the 3rd highest in the game. In 2nd place is a hero carried mostly by her innate, Spectre. Turns out, 25 free pure damage at level 1 is pretty good. But it's not good enough to beat the number 1 hero, Slark, who absolutely dominates the competition on the back of Essence Shift. Essence Shift is just totally broken. In fact, if we break the rules a bit here and give Ursa Fury Swipes, it still isn't enough to beat Slark. But that's enough about the best of the best. Let's move on to the trash. The trends down here are the inverse of the top heroes. It's mostly int and universal and uniformly ranged. The lowest ranked strength heroes are Phoenix and Huskar, who, at 109 and 103, are also the only 2 ranged strength heroes. Further down the dumpster is the lowest ranked agility hero, Hoodwink, who, at 122, is the 6th worst hero in the game. Good starting agility can't make up for some of the lowest starting strength, the worst base attack time, and some miserable base damage. Sitting right next to her at 119 and 120 are the lowest ranked universal heroes, Io and Nature's Prophet. I'm a bit saddened to see Nature's Prophet so low. For a long time he was notable as having by far the best stat growth in the game, but he got the universal hero tax, as well as an innate that's doing him no favors in this format. I also want to take a moment here to shout out Crystal Maiden, who, despite her reputation, isn't even in the bottom 5 worst heroes. She even beat Hoodwink. Well, that's sad. But who's worse? Well, in the bottom 5 we have Coddle, Oracle, and Puck. Low armor, low damage, and low agility secures their place at the bottom. In second to last is Invoker, who's probably the hero that got shafted the most by this format. He doesn't have any orbs invoked. But below even poor Invoker, the worst hero in the game is Skywrath Mage. Not only does he have all the problems the other low-ranked heroes have, he is also stuck with a whopping 0 armor. Skywrath Mage is the weakest hero at level 1, and it isn't even close. Okay, that was fun, but I know what you're thinking. What about level 30? Well, since we're already here, let's find out. The strongest hero, level 30. No abilities, no talents, not even attribute bonus, just stat growth and innates. Starting from the bottom this time, well, it's still Skywrath Mage. By a lot. Agility is really important since it gives both armor and attack speed, and Skywrath has neither. The lowest ranked strength and universal heroes are Undying and Enigma, again heroes with some of the worst agility gain in the game. The lowest ranked agility hero is, perhaps unsurprisingly, Meepo, but it is kind of surprising how many heroes he managed to beat out. There's 15 heroes weaker than him. Just goes to show how important agility is. Looking at some general trends, innates ended up being a lot more important at level 30. Some notable ones include Shadow Demon, who's now the highest ranked int hero at 24. Fights are a lot longer at level 30, meaning that he gets a lot of time to stack up his innate. Innates also mean that fights aren't straightforward. For example, Lifestealer, who's only rank 19, beats every other strength hero in the game, including one in the top 3. In general, agility heroes are dominant, taking up 20 of the top 30 ranks. Of the remaining heroes, 6 are strength, 3 are universal, and 1 is int. The 3 universal heroes are Batrider at 30, who has a useful innate, Bane at 24 with good overall stat growth, and Pangolier at 18, who has surprisingly great stat growth for a universal hero. Moving on to the top 10, in 10th place is Shadow Fiend, whose innate I decided to disable since it isn't consistent. Still, even without it, 10th place is an excellent showing. In 9th is Slark, who still benefits from the absolutely busted Essence Shift, but is brought down by some of the worst stat growth. In 8th is Earth Spirit, whose innate I did allow since unlike Necromastery, it eventually stabilizes. Kez coming in at number 7 surprises me. Sure, he has excellent stat growth, but I expected his 1.9 base attack time in Katana form to be a bigger detriment. Morphling, Monkey King, and Terrorblade are 6th, 5th, and 4th, and for pretty much the same reason, they're the 3 highest agility gain heroes in the game. These 3 also benefit from lower than average base attack time. Despite coming in 4th, Terrorblade does have the honor of being the strongest hero in the game without a relevant innate. Which brings us to our top 3. And this is an interesting situation because these 3 have a rock, paper, scissors thing going on. In 3rd is Dragon Knight, whose innate makes him by far the tankiest hero in the game. However, being a strength hero, he does lose the Lifestealer, which brings down his ranking. And 2nd is Spectre. I'm kind of surprised she's still this high considering her innate doesn't scale with her level. But while the damage doesn't change, the utility does, as having access to pure damage gives her an edge in a lot of matchups, particularly versus Dragon Knight. However, Desolate is not enough to beat the number 1 hero, Medusa, who, on top of having the 6th highest agility growth, is also one of the tankiest heroes in the game thanks to her innate. However, she does still lose to Dragon Knight in an extremely long fight, where Dragon Knight's high HP regen actually ends up being the difference maker. Finally, let's look at what heroes had the biggest change from level 1 to 30. At the top we have Morphling, who went from 97 to 6. The big winners here are ranged heroes, as well as those with high agility gain. Heroes with low base damage like Morphling, Brood, and Hoodwink are also big winners, as their high stat gains overcome their poor starting stats. And Nature's Prophet, despite no longer being the strongest hero in the game, does redeem himself a bit here, with a jump of 86 ranks. As for our biggest losers, it's mostly the opposite. Melee heroes with bad agility gain. By far the biggest loser is Tiny, whose 0 armor and agility could be compensated for at level 1, but by level 30, he's the 2nd worst strength hero in the game. Shadow Shaman also had a big fall, as his high base damage is no longer relevant at level 30. So, in conclusion, what have we learned? Well, never trade with the Slark at level 1. Agility is the best stat for fighting, and if your life depends on it, never bet on Skywrath Mage. I hope that was interesting. I'll leave the results as a spreadsheet in the description if you're interested in diving in deeper. If there are any iterations of this that you'd be interested in, such as adding items or passive abilities or talents, or maybe even rudimentary AI, let me know. For now, I have a couple more ideas for videos exploring Dota mechanics, such as what happens when both ancients die at the same time. If that sounds interesting to you, subscribe to this channel, and I'll see you next time.